So if we were to visualize the amount of time we waste unnecessarily each week, it would look something like this. Now, zooming in on a single day, this doesn't seem like a big deal, but by looking at the bigger picture, you might be surprised to see that you're wasting over 10 hours a week, which is crazy. Just for reference, 10 hours a week means 5 workout sessions at the gym, including commuting. This time alone, if saved, could be the sole reason why you start getting in shape, or learn a new skill, or just spend more time with your friends and family. And so that's the whole purpose of this video. I want to help you save the time you spend unintentionally and put it to better use. And to do that, I'm gonna show you a series of steps you can take and a few habits you can implement to make sure you don't waste any minute of your valuable time anymore. But just before getting into that, because I'm a fan of visual representations, here's how your week could look like after implementing everything I'll share in a few minutes. I'm sure you've had a cocktail before, so imagine that your initial schedule is a cocktail with ice cubes. Now obviously the drink looks good and the glass seems full, but if you were to remove the ice cubes, here's what you would end up with. A lot less liquid and a lot more free space. That's exactly what we're gonna do to your schedule. Remove all of the extra fluff that's keeping you busy for no reason. And the great thing about it is that it's all management. Just organizing things better. You don't need to learn how to work faster or better or any of that stuff. Although, if you follow this advice, that's gonna happen naturally as a consequence. So, without further ado, let's get into the first step. Energy management. This also has two parts or sub-steps or whatever you wanna call them, and we'll start with energy input. Because you can't manage your energy if you haven't got any to begin with, right? Now, before telling you my favorite ways to increase it, let me share a story to illustrate why the main reason your schedule is full is not poor time management, it's not having too many things to do, but a lack of energy. Right? Okay, so to set the scene, this happened towards the end of February in 2020, just before COVID, and at that time I was still a freshman at the university in Romania. Now, if there's something you should know about me in 2020, is that I liked math. Like, I wasn't extremely good at it, but out of all the subjects, this is what I enjoyed most. And so I would go to different contests and Olympiads and stuff like that. That year, along with 3 of our professors, we went to Greece for an international contest. And we got there with a small bus, so it was quite a long road trip. And it was filled with adventure as well, because I'm just gonna say this, the driver was insane. You can imagine what happened. Anyway, the following day we finally arrived at the hotel where we were supposed to stay for the next 3 days. And then we went out to unwind, relax and just explore the city. We knew that was the last chance to unwind and relax a little bit before the actual contest. Because we had to revise everything, make sure we remembered every formula we needed and other nerd things like that. So fast forward a day and a few hours, here I was, the night before the exam. At 12 AM I was still going through my notebook trying to remember everything. It was a last minute effort that for some reason I felt like I needed to do. Maybe it was anxiety, maybe it was fear of failure, I don't know. What's certain is that I ended up sleeping no more than 6 hours that night. And as you can imagine, the next day was an astronomical failure. For half of the contest I was literally staring at the walls. Because I couldn't concentrate. I was tired, I was constantly yawning, and my thinking was incredibly slow. And slowly but surely I started to panic more and more, because I hadn't written anything useful up until that point. And I couldn't help but think of all the preparation, the tens of hours of learning and practicing, which were all for nothing. The only thought that kept coming back to my mind was, if only I wasn't so tired. Now imagine you weren't in a contest but at home, working on a personal project. And like me, you're tired, you're yawning, and you're staring at the walls and becoming more and more frustrated that there's no real progress. First of all, this will inevitably affect the quality of the work you do, which is already kinda bad. And second of all, it will take much longer to finish what you have to do. In other words, you spend more time working, hence your schedule is busier. It's like, think about this. Do you remember when you were little and your mother forced you to eat breakfast even though you weren't that hungry? Well, I do, and I remember taking forever to finish everything that was on the plate. Now, compare that to having breakfast when you're literally starving, like you're in physical pain because of your stomach and all you can think of is that omelette with bacon and cheese and tomatoes, and it's a night and day difference. And so it's the same with work. Being full of energy is like being hungry to get things done and to do them well. So yeah, that's when I learned and actually internalized the idea that no matter how much you think rehearsing and practicing something last minute will help, it's infinitely better to just relax and get a good night's sleep if you have an important event the next day. And I know you're probably thinking, oh okay, sleeping well, whatever. No, actually, I know everybody talks about this and it's become a cliche, but I'm telling you, it's a game changer. And if you're not convinced, try experimenting with it. Do something in the morning when you're tired, and then do it again the next morning when you're fully rested and energized. You actually feel smarter, like your brain works better, I'm not even kidding. So the first habit to increase your energy levels is to get a good night's sleep. It'll make your whole day better. Other methods I use are drinking caffeine. I found this increases mental endurance. Taking cold showers, and this will wake the soul out of you, like it's incredibly effective. What I like to do is start with warm to hot water for 2 to 3 minutes and then switch to Arctic temperature. A few seconds are more than enough to resurrect you, trust me. And lastly, one that I use literally every day is taking a nap. Whenever I feel like I'm too tired and I can't concentrate properly, I'll just hop in bed for 15 to 20 minutes, and that's enough honestly, because I get out a lot more refreshed. Okay, the second part of this step is energy allocation. Now that you know how to get more energy, it's time to learn how to allocate it wisely, and it all comes down to prioritization. Because doing your tasks in the right order can make the difference between having a full schedule and having a couple of hours of free time at the end of each day. So let's say you're a student, right? It's Saturday and your to-do list has the following items: wash clothes, cook lunch for the whole week, start a university project, and study for an exam. Right? Here's what you'll want to do. Always choose the most important or the most mentally challenging activity first. So in this example, starting your day by spending 2 to 3 hours in the kitchen to cook 6 meals for the following week is probably the worst thing you can do. Because by the time you sit down to study for the exam or work on that project, you'll already have wasted a big chunk of your energy. At that point, it almost doesn't matter that you had a good night's sleep, because you spend all of that energy on an activity which doesn't require too much focus or attention or concentration. So yeah, the idea here is to know when you're most energetic during the day. Right after waking up is one of those moments, and spend that time doing the most mentally intensive activities. A helpful habit here is to create a calendar, prioritize your tasks and time block them in the right moments. This way, you'll be sure to get the most out of your energy. Alright, the second step towards saving 10 plus hours a week is to cut off distractions. Do you know that moment when you're deeply focused on something, you're in the flow state and everything's going smoothly, but then something interrupts you? Maybe it's a phone call, maybe it's a notification, or maybe it's another person who walks into your room and disrupts your rhythm. To them, it might not be a big deal, to get in and ask a quick question, but that can ruin your whole mood. Because if you get out of that deep concentration state, it can take up to 25 minutes to get back in. You can't just resume your work at the same intensity level like flipping a switch. It just doesn't work that way. Because here's an analogy. Trying to get something done and being distracted or interrupted every 5 minutes is like trying to bake a cake while opening the oven door every few seconds. Even if it's just for 2 seconds, that's enough time for the hot air to get out of the oven and for the process to be prolonged. So if you want to get things done quickly and efficiently, it's imperative to cut off distractions. Put your phone away in another room because it's too tempting to unlock it and check that notification or that message, whatever. Also, let the other people in the house know that you'll be in your room working, and unless there is an emergency, you'd really appreciate if they didn't disturb you. So yeah, the habit you can implement here is to have 30 or 60 or 90 minutes work sessions where you just put your phone away, avoid distractions, and focus exclusively on your task. Because here's the thing, you can get more done in 60 minutes of intentional and focused work than you would in 3 or 4 hours filled with breaks and interruptions and distractions. So try experimenting with these intervals and see which one works the best for you. Alright, the third step is time management. Now, I wasn't sure if I should include this in the video because I didn't want to distract you from the main point, from the most important thing, which is energy management. However, there is one time management habit which, to my surprise, has increased my throughput a lot. Whether it's coming up with new ideas or writing my YouTube scripts or just doing more stuff in the same amount of time. Now, here's where this comes from. Most people, including myself a few months ago, believe they need at least 1 hour of uninterrupted time to be able to start any type of creative work. And to some extent that's true. I mean, you can definitely do more in 1 hour of continuous time than you would in 15 minutes, sure. But that doesn't mean you should disconsider the short intervals because they can be huge time savers. The habit here, therefore, is to make use of these short time intervals that you would otherwise waste. And here's how I implemented this. So I go to the gym early in the morning during the week, right? And it takes about 20 minutes to get there by foot. Now, what I started doing on my way back home is to go through my YouTube script and rephrase some of the sentences or try to come up with new ideas. I don't know, even if I'm super sleepy when I wake up, after finishing my workout I feel energized and more creative for some reason. So those 20 minutes are unexpectedly useful. Like, this simple habit sometimes saves me up to 1 hour of my free time at home, which is great. So I highly recommend that you don't sleep on these intervals, especially if you have nothing else to do, like 10 minutes waiting for the bus, or 15 minutes waiting for the doctor to get you in, or even 5 minutes on the toilet. I'm sure there are a few such opportunities in your day-to-day routine, and leveraging them can truly save a lot of time for later. Definitely give it a try. And that is everything I've got for today. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to press the like button and subscribe to the channel because it helps me a lot. Thanks for staying until the end, and I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye bye!